There's an election coming up, and people are scared, angry, and disappointed. Welcome to Calm in the Chaos Interfaith Center, where we are trying to find calm in this chaos. In the fall of 2020, I delivered a sermon in a Presbyterian church in Brockport, New York, that caused some people to ask me for a printed copy of the text to show their spouses and friends, the ones who don't go to church. It was last week's God Talk. It's archived on the God Talk page of Calm in the Chaos website in case you missed it and would like to visit. Here's the title. Jesus' whole life was about serving others and helping all of us to connect with a God who is supportive and loving. He would not have fit into one political viewpoint, and neither do we. Well, as I said, there's an election coming up, and I want to take my spiritual training to the polls. Because despite Jesus not subscribing to a political party, he was political. When he told the people about a kingdom and government that was in opposition to what they experienced in their land, he was being very political, at least to the listeners. They were threatened by this man. Some loved it and some were threatened. Now, as a board member of Calm in the Chaos Interfaith Center, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, I am not permitted to put political signs in my yard. I'm not permitted to tell you to vote for Kamala or Donald, but as a spiritual guide, I can offer some thoughts for you to consider. On election day, I will drive about 3 miles to the firehouse where I vote, and I will try to be one of the first people there because I'm not a patient person in a waiting line. I will have met the candidates by reading their interviews and by attending a local get-together, and I will bubble in some circles with the provided black ink pen. Since I do care for the well-being of others, and since I try to guard against my ego running the show for my life, there are 6 ideas that keep coming to my mind that I must hold close to my heart as I circle in those bubbles. Why? Because elections are personal. Very personal. We all vote our heart and our values. And here are mine. First, I will vote for candidates who believe that all people should have their dignity protected and that a diverse population can build a richer community and nation. Why will I vote this way? Because Jesus told me clearly that everyone is my neighbor, and because of a poem written by Martin Niemöller. He was a Protestant German pastor who lived through Nazi Germany. His words are quoted differently in different places because he used this poem frequently in speeches, not in written form. This version that I'll read to you is printed in the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Second, I will not vote for candidates who put extra challenges in the way of my friends in marginalized populations. I will vote for those who work for accessibility into every aspect of life. Why? Because I'm deaf in one ear, a disability that isn't visible to friends and strangers until I tell them. And because I pushed my mama's wheelchair all around Lancaster and noticed the places we couldn't go. So I want anyone else with a physical or mental challenge to have lawmakers who break down barriers. Third, I won't support a judge who won't marry a same-gendered couple or a public institution that receives my tax money and ignores the needs of transgender teens. Why? Because I taught transgender kids in high school, and I currently direct transgender people in my choruses, and I love them, and I want them to know they are valued and loved. By the way, there's nowhere in the Bible where Jesus tells us anything about being gay or transgender. There is quite a bit of scripture that directs us to behave in a loving manner towards all people. Fourth, I will vote for candidates whose platforms include the radical idea that all people may worship in a way that fuels their personal growth. Why? Because the young man who has been my piano student and singer for 8 years deserves to not be afraid to tell anyone that he studies Arabic and follows Islam as a devout Muslim. And because I am an ordained interfaith clergy, having studied world religions, which only prove to me that we have more in common than we have which separates us. Fifth, because I've been instructed to love my neighbor, and everyone is my neighbor, even the people who argue with me, the people who annoy me, those who have disappointed, frightened, hurt, or frustrated me, because of the instruction to love them, I will support people who believe that every human being deserves to have the medicine and care they need. I want to emulate the part of St. Francis that understands poverty, and in today's language, that might be translated as a lack of medical insurance. Why? Because a very close, self-employed, entrepreneurial family member had no health insurance for 9 years. She relied on Planned Parenthood for regular checkups. And sixth, even though I know I'm blessed to have been born into a country where my life has been so privileged, I will remember that the world, which contains all my spiritual travelers, my friends, my fellow travelers, is bigger than the United States. Why? Because I know the world is watching, and that the decisions that my country's leaders make influence many people who do not live within our borders. And I remember that the God of my understanding did not make the geographic borders that divide countries. I'm a citizen of the world as well as a citizen of this country. I did say there were 6 things, and there are 7. Finally, as a student of Celtic wisdom and spirituality, I will vote for candidates who support sustainable programs for Mother Earth. Why? Because I received the notice 2 weeks ago that the water coming through my pipes, the water the city was providing its citizens, the water I pay for, has unacceptable levels of a cancer-causing substance. Because I want to still drive my aging father on a Sunday drive and crest a hill in southern Lancaster County and hear him say, "What a view," because the air is so clear that we can truly see for 10 miles. And because I want my great-great-great-grandchildren to live on this planet in good health. Voting will be putting my spiritual life into practice, giving yet one more way to help the world become more like Eden or God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, or because it's the way my favorite spiritual teachers have taught me. I cannot help but take my religious training into the voting booth. I also cannot help but take my biases, my prejudices, my family situation, and my personal concerns with me. But I must not vote only for the good of me. I must vote for everyone I love and for those who have no voice. I must vote with courage, with conviction, and with love. God bless us all.